These hearings, supposedly about waste, fraud, and abuse, have instead been hijacked into stage plays designed for sound bites and headlines, not solutions. The irony is that while Republicans posture about waste, they themselves are burning through taxpayer dollars for political stunts.
As one of the few people sitting on the dais who actually practice criminal law in the state of Texas, as well as I'm licensed in Arkansas and practice there, as well as federal courts, one of the things that you said earlier, Mr. Beer, really stuck with me, is that there are already laws on the books as it relates to those violent criminals. And I know this because even though I hail from the great city of Dallas, I can tell you that when someone would come in and they were being held in custody for, say, a crime, they also had an ICE hold, okay? And that was for those that had maybe been deported before and had re-entered illegally and things like that. And so no matter what type of city you're in, I do want to be clear, federal law already, no matter if it's under the Biden administration or if it's under a Republican administration, we all agree that we want to be safe. And I think that's the first premise that we're losing, because there isn't something that is tatted on my head that says that I'm a Democrat and therefore you illegal bad person, don't come for me, go for the ones that have the R's on their forehead. Now let me be clear about this as well, because we've talked about crime and we've talked about fentanyl specifically, and this is also something that I have dealt with, unlike some of my other colleagues. And listen, I'm gonna be honest, because I actually wanna fix problems. And I actually have a really good senator in Texas, and I'm sure y'all can guess which one is the good one. But let me tell you, if we care about fentanyl, I have multiple bills for that. I started on the state level before everybody started talking about it, and I have federal bills that my senior senator has signed on to. So I welcome my colleagues because I actually want to make sure that my communities are safe. But as we start to talk about crime and statistics, Mr. Beer, I want to play a little game with you. It's called rhetoric versus reality. And so I want to ask you, my first question, is this rhetoric or reality? Immigrants commit more crimes than US citizens.
On a per capita basis?
Rhetoric or reality?
Oh, it is rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, which states that undocumented immigrant offending rate lower than US-born citizen rate, and this is from nij.ojp.gov.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. The next one, immigrants are just living off the federal government and contribute nothing.
That would be rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I would ask unanimous consent to enter study that says undocumented immigrants pay almost $100 billion in taxes. This is from the Alabama Reflector.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. My final rhetoric or reality question is immigrants only enter at the southern border.
Rhetoric.
Okay, right, because they enter all kinds of ways. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. In fact, I have a few more questions because I still got a little bit of time, which I usually run out of time. We have talked again about crime, and there's been this overemphasis on it. And honestly, I can tell you that I don't want anyone to be killed, whether it's here or anywhere else. There is nothing about me as the child of a preacher that makes me say that I want people to die, okay? So I feel as if my colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also are showing compassion for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that are contributing to making us great in this country. So, interestingly enough, I'm curious to know, Mr. Beer, if you know if immigrants contributed to these particular crimes. There was a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York that killed a number of African Americans as they were trying to shop for groceries. Was the defendant an immigrant in that case? Do you know?
No, he was a US-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Charleston, South Carolina, there were black churchgoers trying to praise the Lord. They were killed. Was that an immigrant that perpetrated that or not?
No, that was a US-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Now, coming home to Texas, there was an El Paso shooting. Do you know if that was an immigrant or not?
No, they were targeting immigrants in that case.
In fact, each of these cases, it was white supremacists. And so the last unanimous consent that I'd asked for is this article that states that white supremacists behind over 80% of extremism-related U.S. murders in 2022.
Without objection.
What we just saw from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett was not only passion, but also precision. She called out the circus for what it is, political theater. And she's right. Let's take immigration, for example. Instead of proposing thoughtful reforms to modernize the system, streamline legal pathways, and improve border security in smart ways, we see governors spending hundreds of millions, $221 million in Texas alone, to bus migrants across the country. Not because it solves anything, but because it makes for a viral clip on conservative media. That's not fiscal responsibility. That's fiscal recklessness dressed up as toughness. Imagine what $221 million could do for schools, infrastructure, healthcare, or veterans in Texas. But instead, it was used to buy a political show ticket. And it doesn't stop there. Another $134 million was wasted sending the National Guard into Los Angeles without request, without coordination, and without preparation, even forcing service members to sleep on floors without food. That's not respect for our troops, that's exploitation. Yet these same leaders claim to be the party of law and order, the party that backs the blue and supports the military. The actions don't match the slogans. Crockett also zeroed in on something that Republicans love to avoid, the selective outrage around crime. If an undocumented immigrant commits a crime, it gets weaponized as proof that all immigrants are criminals. But when white supremacists slaughter Americans in Buffalo, in El Paso, in Charleston, when terrorists motivated by racist ideologies target innocent people, where are the hearings? Where is the outrage? Too often, it's silence. And that silence is deafening because it shows us what really matters to them: fear. Fear is the fuel. Fear is the strategy. Here's the deeper truth. Brokenness is the point. The dysfunction isn't a flaw of their system, it's a feature. Why? Because if people are afraid of immigrants, afraid of their neighbors, afraid of change, then Republicans can campaign on being the only ones strong enough to protect you. It's not about fixing problems, it's about keeping problems alive to harvest votes from fear. And while we're talking about rights, Rep. Crockett reminded the committee of something fundamental: due process. It's not optional, it's not partisan, it's not selective. It's for everyone on U.S. soil. Whether you're an asylum seeker at the border, a citizen facing charges, or even Donald Trump himself, due process applies. That's the Fifth Amendment. That's the Constitution. And when Republicans rail against due process for immigrants, they aren't defending the Constitution, they're undermining it. The same Constitution they swear an oath to uphold. Now let's connect this to the economic reality Americans live in. Crockett pointed to tourism, an industry worth billions to our economy, now declining because people no longer feel welcome or safe here. International visitors are avoiding the U.S., costing us an estimated $12.5 billion in lost spending by 2025. That's jobs lost. That's revenue gone. And it's not immigrants scaring them away. It's our own government's hostile rhetoric, turning America from a beacon of welcome into a place of fear. So let's be clear. Fear costs money. Hate costs jobs. White supremacy, scapegoating, and political theater aren't just moral failures, they're economic ones. And everyday Americans pay the price. This is where leadership matters. True leaders don't pit neighbor against neighbor. They don't waste taxpayer dollars on political games. They don't scapegoat the vulnerable while ignoring the powerful. True leaders tell the truth, defend the Constitution, and use our resources to solve problems, not inflame them. That's the message Rep. Crockett delivered: sharp, unapologetic, and necessary. And it leaves us with a choice. Do we keep rewarding political theater that leaves us poorer, angrier, and more divided? Or do we demand real solutions, grounded in facts, fairness, and fiscal responsibility? The call to action is simple. Pay attention. Don't get distracted by the noise. Follow the money, follow the hypocrisy, and follow who's actually working to protect your rights and your wallet. Because when fear is the product, accountability is the cure.